The anti-colonial resistance movement in Vietnam was like a huge, chaotic Cold War party that everyone was invited to attend. You had the North, the South, and a whole bunch of friends like Australia and Korea. But wait, where was Great Britain? They usually never miss a good geopolitical drama. US President LBJ really wanted his British pal Harold Wilson to send some troops. He even tried to use the ultimate bait, cold, hard cash and financial support. His advisor said, "A British brigade in Vietnam is worth $1 billion. Talk about an expensive friend." But Harold Wilson's response was a very polite, very British, "Nope." Now, you'd think he'd take the money, because the British economy was, well, dying. The pound was crashing so often it was practically an Olympic sport at that point. Britain was so broke they had to rethink their entire world police role east of Suez. US diplomats kept whispering, "Fist, want some money? Just send a few soldiers." So, did Britain do absolutely nothing? Well, they gave some moral support. Wilson publicly said, "Go USA, stop communism," while keeping his own soldiers home. Why? Because the British public saw the war as either not my problem or not okay. Britain even sent advisors to teach the US how to fight guerrillas. Pro tip: don't ignore them. But the US ignored the advice. Tanks are cooler than manuals. They probably thought. This lukewarm friendship made things awkward. LBJ and Wilson were not exactly BFFs. Relations hit a low point. Not 1776 revolution, low. But definitely unfollowed on social media, low. LBJ told Wilson, "Send troops or shut up." Ouch. That's a rough text to receive. Throughout the whole war, not a single British combat troop was officially sent. That's why people in the UK barely even remember the war. They weren't in it. It was a mix of the public saying, "No thanks," and the government saying, "We're broke." Britain was also busy decolonizing, which is a fancy way of saying closing shop. They were trying to figure out what their new role in the world actually was. So, Wilson decided to sit on the sidelines and watch the chaos from his island. In the end, Britain stayed out of the whole mess, and very few people regret it today. No British casualties meant no massive public trauma over Vietnam and London. They kept their soldiers, their teeth, and eventually, their economy got better, sort of. Thanks for joining us on this, not so combat, tour of history.